Hello, thanks for tuning in. So yes, let's talk a little bit about sacredness and the virtue of sacredness, what it means to be sacred to your brother and sister and to yourself, and what sacredness gives you, what being sacred in a wholesome way, in the most monumental way imaginable, what it gives you, what it loads into you, the light it loads into you, the power it loads into you. Okay, surely that's worth 5 minutes of your time. So yes, sacredness. And to talk about sacredness, I want to talk a little bit about intentionality. You know, what are your intentions towards the world? People wake up every day and they mean well, but their intentions are skewed. Okay, lots of people are making money on the back of other people's misery. Okay, is that what your intentions are? Okay, what is intended? What is intended? What are your intentions towards me, towards my brother, towards my son, towards my mum, towards my friends? What's your intentions? What are your intentions towards the world? Are they sacred or are they skewed? And it's all by degree. And we know where degrees take us. You know, if we're skewed by degree, we can end up in genocides. And if we're sacred by degree and good and refined by degree, we can end up as giants on this planet living in a sacred, wholesome way. So yes, sacredness. Sacredness is part of the light that shines through us. And intentionality. Okay, intentionality is, like I said, it's the voice of consciousness. It's like the inner eye of consciousness. What are our intentions? Okay, we don't have to speak to have intentions. So let's talk about intentionality and sacredness. And I'm going to relay it by relaying a little anecdote, a little story. I found myself in a woods a few years ago with my partner. We were at a big camping, a big lot of hippies all camping in the woods, and it was phenomenal hippie singing energy. And we camped up at one particular fire, and there was a beautiful Moroccan band playing, holding the fire, and we all camped up and everybody was made welcome. And as we sat in and listened to this three-piece band play music, they were all in their 30s, early 30s. It was I loved this. They were singing in the Moroccan, their own language. But I could hear the warmth in the songs they were singing. I didn't understand the language, but I could hear the warmth. There's something undulating to it, and I said it to the singer. I said, the music feels so warm and welcoming. And he said, well, that's the lyric. The lyric is a lyric of welcoming you, welcoming my brother, my sister, the stranger to the fire, the stranger from far off lands. And it really did feel like that. It felt sacred, it felt wholesome. It felt like I was at the circle and I was being held and seen and witnessed, as was my partner. And that was beautiful, the poetry of that song. The thing is, throughout the day I also noticed this guy was making eyes for my partner. Now, this is not a silly story about jealousy, because I wasn't jealous, and I'm very secure with my partner, and she is very secure with me, and so on, and we wouldn't stray from one another or go behind one another's back. This is a story about him and his immaturity, because he couldn't hold sacred by his own song, his own circle. This song that he bigged up for me, this song he spoke about welcoming his brother and sister, but this wasn't really a welcome for me. We had eyes from my partner. Now, they weren't lecherous, but there was a discomfort in the eyes. After a certain amount of time, his intentions were becoming obvious. Okay, his intentions. It is one thing to look at somebody else's partner, to check out a woman or to check out a man, or to check out the same sex, if that's what floats your boat. We all like to, we love the beauty of other human beings. But intention is a different thing. Okay, what is your intention? It's one thing if I'm looking at another man's woman or a woman going down the road, but as long as my intentions are pure and just thinking, wow, what a beautiful woman, what a beautiful being, what a beautiful sacred being that I hold absolute respect by, and my intentions are no, less than that, there's nothing wrong with that. But if your intentions are crooked, or your intentions are to make mean moves on her or him and so on, well, intentions can bring us down a bad road, and I said it's all by a degree, as I've said. So his intentions, anyway, digressing, his intentions weren't good. Now, let's just say he did bring my partner into the woods, hypothetically. What was he going to get? What was he getting to get his end away? Well, my partner would have been like surrendering her sacred essence to half a man that couldn't hold a chord by his own song, a song to claim to be about the circle, about the church. Okay, and there's some serious instance in that. He couldn't fill his own cultural shoe. He was a weak man. He was half a man, half a measure. Now, this is not about him. He was a young man, It's not even about forgiving him. I hope he'll just grow up and mature and hold sacred by himself someday. I'm just using this analogy to relay the point of intentionality and sacredness, and how important it is to hold sacred, because sacredness gives you stature, status, strength, importance, Okay, status is the most refined way to be, the most wholesome way to be, the most mature way to be for man and woman. So yes, and what would he have gotten from my partner if he had, got these rocks off? Half a woman who was happy to lie to her partner, to undermine her partner. Neither of them were concerned about the damage it would do to my emotional field, my meta-spiritual emotional field, so to speak. Okay, neither of them would have been concerned with that. So they were letting themselves down. It wasn't just a case that they would be letting me down, they were letting themselves down. And in letting themselves down, they were letting the circle down. And by letting the circle down, they were letting the church down. They were undermining everything that's beautiful that holds up that church in virtue of sacredness. So you see what I mean? So by being sacred, so what are your intentions? Are your intentions, like to make a billion? I mean, we all need to make a penny. But wanting to make a penny for the sake of making money and making that penny on the back of other men's backs, well, that's, crooked intentions. What are your intentions? So many young men out there today, and they're reaching out for what? For fast cars and houses and muscles and cock and all the women on your arm, okay? Small intentions, that's a crooked intention. When you could be sacred, when you could be held up at the circle, and women will see that, okay? Women will definitely see you if you hold sacred to yourself, okay? Because that's what status is about. And I suggest young men tune in and listen to this, okay? The six pack doesn't touch off the power of sacredness, what it means to hold sacred by the self. So yes, anyway, I hope you know what I mean by that. So yes, that analogy applies to the whole world. We're all at the circle. We're all at the circle of humanity. And you can walk up to the circle. The circle is church, the original church. Okay, and we're all priest and priestess at the circle if we want to be, all depending on how we act. And it's all about, tuning in the mind to what the virtue of sacredness actually means for each of us. The light, it shines through each of us. It's a power source. It's a fucking power source. And it'll bring you to your last days as a noble person. If you allow sacredness in, it means you have respect for all around you. It means you respect the world, you respect the brother and the sister, you respect the circle, you respect yourself. And isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that what maturity is all about? Wanting respect, wanting to be seen as a refined being, wanting to be held up as sacred. So anyway, yes, sacredness is a very important notion, and tune your minds into it. It's part and parcel of putting the world back together. I'll finish on this note. Okay, we have to get off the hamster wheel we're on. We have to, disengage from this paradigm, the way we do business, economically speaking. We're destroying the environment, we're destroying each other. We've lost sight of sacredness, we've lost sight of the virtue of sacredness, which is a huge hand that serves us. We've lost sight of that, and as a result, look, we're on the edge of the cliff ready to fall over, all of us. So what do we replace it with? Well, sacredness is one of the grounding sources that we replace it with, because we need to restore strength in ourselves. We need to regain our heads and hearts. We need to regain a sense of importance, a sense of direction, a narrative that drives us. And part of that narrative is understanding the true weight and the true light and the true monumental fucking measure of sacredness. Okay, do right by one another. Do right by one another. Okay, and live your life in accordance with that rule. And on your last days, people will hold you up as part of the circle. And there is nothing more noble and fulfilling and wholesome and mature than that. Peace and love and logic. And thanks for tuning in.